fastest show in sports.
Ah, yes, there is a great reason why the entire sports world just seems to stop cold, dead in its tracks, every time somebody mentions the name Shedeur Sanders. Ooh, it's because Shedeur Sanders is just the flavor of the moment at this time, because his father was a great NFL player and also a great big mouth. The kid is a fair college football player and a big mouth. And because the media just loves anything like this that they can grasp onto. I mean, every single form of media seems to be focusing in one way, shape, form, or another on Shedeur Sanders and what he's doing with the Cleveland Browns. And huzzah! Look at that. Shedeur Sanders finally gets into a National Football League game. Now, we're not going to show you highlights because the NFL would fine me and I'd be out about $300 million just for using the highlights. But we can talk a little bit about it and hear from the individuals involved because there's an interesting set of circumstances going on here. Shedeur Sanders got into the game against the Baltimore Ravens, and he had not been in a single game thus far this season, not one snap in a regulation game. So this was his first time. And there seems to be a lot of consternation about that because the coach himself doesn't seem to have given Shedeur Sanders the time that he needs with that first unit in case he had to step in. But from Shedeur's standpoint, it was awful. I mean, this was a complete disaster. It happens with rookie quarterbacks, especially when you consider that here's a guy who hasn't, and we don't know this to be sure, but he certainly hasn't gotten any snaps with the team in a regulation game. Certainly, though, you would think that he's gotten snaps with the main core in practice, but we don't know that to be sure. So Shedeur Sanders comes in. He goes 4 of 16, 47 yards, 1 interception. He is sacked twice. Ravens win the game 23-16. Now, to be completely fair, I've seen every single play that Shedeur Sanders was a part of. I can't hold this kid responsible for every bad thing that happened. Yeah, sure, okay, he threw a pick. He got sacked twice because the Cleveland Browns have one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. They're not even close to being able to protect this guy. And not only that, but when you go from quarterback to quarterback, from Dillon Gabriel to Shedeur Sanders, it's an entirely different kind of quarterback. It's an entirely different kind of game plan. Were they not ready for it? Fair to say that's indeed possible because the kid was out of sorts, couldn't get much done. He had 1 or 2 good passes in there, but when it comes to getting things done, I do believe that Shedeur Sanders was left without the tools he needed in order to get this done. Was he really ready to step into this game? Was he as prepared as he could be? Did Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, and the offensive coaches have him completely prepared? Were they ready that in the moment that something happened, and this time it was a concussion by Gabriel, were they ready to go ahead and put him in there and be completely confident that he was going to be the starting quarterback? No, there's no way they could have been because he wasn't ready. He hadn't gotten any chops. He hadn't been out there. Was this something that Stefanski has been doing surreptitiously, sneakily, to make sure that this kid doesn't make it, that he fails? I mean, everybody is out there saying that right now. Of course it is. Because what happens, you have this one group of people who every time Shedeur Sanders is mentioned, they say that Kevin Stefanski wants to keep him down, and they bring race into the discussion. A lot of times you hear it. There's a lot of former players out there, black players who are saying that Kevin Stefanski is making sure that Shedeur Sanders fails because he's the son of Deion Sanders and because he's black, which is absolutely, stupidly, undeniably, ridiculously foolish. I mean, there's not one stretch to that imagination possible in this. Because, as I've said many times before, the object is to win games. Blue, green, black, polka-dotted stripe, it wouldn't make a difference, the color of the quarterback. You're in there to win. If you don't win, you get fired. And nobody wants to get fired. They want to keep feeding off the trough. So you've got to have this kid ready, and it can't be. If it's racism in here, then it's the best hidden racism I think anybody has ever seen. But the fact of the matter is Shedeur Sanders was not ready to go into that game. He wasn't ready to take over for Dillon Gabriel. He wasn't ready to run the number one offense. And if you listen to Shedeur Sanders after the game, You can even hear him take a not so veiled shot at his head coach and the people above him who did not have him ready to play.
Playing quarterback is extremely hard, so it's like I like knowing every detail about my receivers. I like knowing the small things, what they're good at, what they're not good at. It's like so many details that helps me play confident with those guys. And I know, we at the bottom right now. This performance, everything, it will never be like this. But I'm dedicated to being able to get those opportunities with those guys to have a relationship, I got a relationship with all the hungry dogs, though. We like clockwork out there, but you just got to see everything a little bit more, like them come out, roust them, do all different type of stuff.
See, this is why everybody thinks that there's something going on here under the surface. Because in many ways, Shedeur Sanders is exactly right. You've got to have that camaraderie. You've got to have that working relationship with your guys, with the number one team. Now, he hasn't taken a snap in a game this season, frankly, because if you look at the Browns' schedule, there really hasn't been an opportunity for him to get in the game. There's no mop-up sessions. They had quarterbacks between Flacco and Gabriel. They were ready with what they consider to be their number one and number two. So there really wasn't a chance for him to get in there, and you don't just throw a quarterback in there just to get him some reps, especially when you have a chance to win. Browns haven't done much winning this season, but they have been in a lot of those games. They were in the game against the Ravens until the end, and they couldn't get it done. So it's not as if you just stick him in the game and say, here, go on out and take 2 series worth of snaps. You're trying to win a game. And if you're not too far behind, you're trying to get back in the game. They must have done something right to beat the Miami Dolphins. I mean, granted, it's only 1 win, but at least when you look at it, there doesn't seem to be, look, if there was the opportunity, let's say the Browns are up on somebody 44-7, or if they've got a game stashed away in the fourth quarter and it's like 35-10, well, in that case, you do have a responsibility to put that number 2, number 3, whatever it is, but you need to get him some reps. But he hasn't been getting the reps because there just hasn't been the opportunity. That's why I can't go with all of this cloak and dagger nonsense about how Stefanski might be holding him back. I think it's simply just a matter of circumstance at this point. However, we do have to look at Kevin Stefanski, and we do have to understand now what's going on here. Look, Kevin Stefanski, in his 5+ seasons with Cleveland, hasn't just simply forgotten how to coach. All right, this is a guy who's got a record of 42-51 as we speak right now. He's got 3 playoff games where he's 1-2. He's a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, and he's been in the playoffs. Kevin Stefanski is not going to get fired. Understand that. People are screaming for him to get fired because it's a losing season right now. It's not going to happen. He's 2 seasons removed from being in the playoffs. Granted, they sucked this year, and they weren't much better last year. But the organization is going to give him another chance. I firmly believe that Kevin Stefanski is going to survive this season, and he is then going to get another chance next year. Now, coming in with everything else, look, they made a mistake anyway going after Joe Flacco. They really should have looked ahead instead of looking behind, but they had to find somebody out there to run this offense with a couple of rookies sitting there. And Flacco really wasn't the guy. So they're going to come in the next season, and he's going to get that opportunity. This is going to be the chance. If he screws up this time, he's got to be out. There's no option to it whatsoever. But looking at what Stefanski has done now, when you listen to him in the press conference after the Ravens game and some pointed questions, he knows what's coming. He knows what people are thinking and what they are saying, and he is trying to soft pedal it as good as he can by using all the excuses, all the different keywords, if you will, to make sure that everything is covered up and nobody knows what's going on.
We trust all of our guys. We trust our guys to perform. He's no different. And playing a backup quarterback role, as we've talked about over the years, that's tough to come in there. But we trust him. I know there's things that he's going to want to do better, but that's why we work.
You talk so much about, or we asked you a lot about Shedeur not getting any reps with the starting units. So that was like really his first legitimate snaps and reps with the starting offense, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that there was any maybe kind of rust or?
Yeah, I understand the question. I would tell you we do so much work with the quarterback position and the entire team, not just those reps on a practice field. And those are, as we all know, those are tough reps for when you have a young starter as well. But there's so much that we do to supplement that type of thing.
See, here's the thinking process. If you've got young quarterbacks and they're not in the game, you at least need to get them ready in practice. So is Stefanski there intimating it again? He hasn't really come out and said it. And somebody didn't ask the question. My question to him would have been, is Shedeur Sanders getting any snaps with the number one offense in practice? Would seem to make sense, right? Because if he's got to come in, then you're going to make sure he gets those snaps. However, at the same time, Dillon Gabriel's got to get those snaps right now because he's another young player who, if he's your number one, he's got to get the bulk of the snaps. You can't just keep shoveling them off to somebody else because you need to get them ready. But in the same breath, you have to do what is proper to get that backup quarterback in here playing. So that's why there's a disconnect going on here somewhere. Because granted, he hasn't gotten the snaps with the number one team in a game, but he should be getting the snaps with the number one team in practice. Why isn't he? Is it just possible that Shedeur Sanders is not an NFL quarterback? Okay, stop right there for a minute. Stop going back, and I know this has been said by people a lot smarter in the NFL than me, but they were right. Mary Kay Cabot, who has covered the Cleveland Browns for a long time, for the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com, even she said it. It's not as if you're just going to go ahead and go back and say that, well, he deserves to get all this time because of what he did in college. That's college. People need to stop taking what he did in college, where he was set up to succeed by his father, getting him ready at Colorado, his father taking the job at Colorado so he could make sure that both of his sons got plenty of snaps and became the stars, which he did. He had a great one season. Okay? But it is possible that Shedeur Sanders is not an NFL quarterback, and it is possible that Kevin Stefanski and the offensive coaches have seen this from him in practice. So then what do? You're stuck with Dillon Gabriel. You better get somebody ready to come in here, and that's a problem. That's a mistake that the coach makes. If Shedeur Sanders is all you got to get him ready to get in there, especially when you're looking at a team that is this bad. You're out of the playoffs this season. You may as well go ahead and experiment, may as well go ahead and put the Dr. Frankenstein hat on and give something a try. Why not? You got nothing to lose. But people need to grasp the fact that just because his dad is Deion Sanders and just because he had some great games at the University of Colorado does not make him an automatic starting quarterback. It's possible that he's not grasping the system. It's possible that there are some other issues that we just don't know about. But at this stage, you got nothing to lose. Cleveland's that bad. You've got nothing to lose. If Gabriel can't, and this, of course, is all going to shake out here as the week goes on, but if Dillon Gabriel can't play because of a concussion protocol, then you got to start Shedeur and you got to ride with him. He's the best chance for you to win. Unless you do what? Bring in another retread somewhere? Pick somebody up who hasn't played in the game for 2 or 3 years, who's 497 years of age? You can't do that either. You got to run what you brung. And if Shedeur Sanders didn't start when Dillon Gabriel is out, then open up the floodgates, go after Stefanski, find out what the hell is going on here. Because there's something that the fans deserve to know. And remember, I'm a fan guy. I believe the fans deserve to get their due. And the fans in Cleveland are getting spit on right now. I mean, basically that franchise is lifting its leg on them the last 2 seasons. Something's got to give. And it's a whole lot of players that got to give because it's not just the quarterback that's a problem. It's a quarterback with a defense, with an offensive line, with so many other things. And so many really good seasons and good careers are being wasted in Cleveland right now. So at this stage, Give him the chance. Let's see what he's got. But remember, it's not as if Shedeur Sanders was ordained to be a starting quarterback in the NFL or to be the best quarterback of his rookie class. He may not be. Kevin Stefanski's got to answer some of this, and he's got to answer it now because, quite frankly, again, I'll say this very seriously for the Browns, and I'll tell you what, I'd love for people to tell me if I'm wrong saying this. What the hell you got to lose at this point?
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.